About to get into game number 3, where a win in that final match will send Jingdong into the playoffs of the LPL Spring Split 2018. Rogue Warriors bouncing back off of a phenomenal performance in game number 2, looking to try and secure the series for themselves as well.
Yep, but Jingdong, if they don't win, they've eliminated themselves from the playoffs. That's the other caveat that you have to remember here. Coming into this game number 3, it is 1-1 between these teams, and Rogue Warriors, with that game 2 victory, did look very clean. Flawless in particular had a good showing. However, Jingdong on the blue side this time around. That's important. I actually think that the blue side is the side of the rift where you get the Karma ban off because you want to first pick that Xayah for yourself. And I think that is something that may help a lot here for Jingdong in this third.
Also denies Rogue Warriors from doing anything fancy in the bottom lane. They can't pick the AD carry support for the last 2 picks. And surprise JDG with whatever they're going to throw as their final counter pick. JD though, although they didn't have the best performances in that match, Loken still played well throughout the entire series, and that's a shining light for them because RD, he's not been playing for the team. Loken stepped in, he's proven that he can be a good hyper carry. Even in the match they lost, he still played well.
Yeah, he definitely did. I think he still had a perfectly fine showing. They second picked him, the Tristana. A lot of focus still went towards his AD carry of choice, and I don't know why in particular they would do such a thing. Of course, we speculated in that second game as to why. Ultimately, it didn't matter too much. He played fine. The team lost around him. It was assassinations constantly across the board from Yagao on his Orianna being decimated by a Kha'Zix of Flawless. That was what made the difference, and that could be something that needs to be addressed in this third game. I don't think it will be, though. I think the Karma is the biggest problem because it enabled Kha'Zix further, and that's where they may look. I also don't think you need to first pick Trundle. Maybe wait for the Olaf before you go towards the Trundle, and if they don't pick the Olaf, then pick something else that is a little bit more relevant in the dueling if they're going to pick a Kha'Zix against it.
Because Clear had a fine match. He was able to get ganks going in the top lane, was able to facilitate with the picks onto Kalua when he was rotating around the map. But there's not much you can do in teamfights. Yes, he could take resistances away from Mouse, but he wasn't the problem.
His most played champion is Kha'Zix, Clid, so he could actually look towards that himself. There's the Zac, there's the Sejuani, there are Jarvan even, and Lee Sin. Clid plays the Lee Sin. This is a battle of the Lee Sin mains in our league. But first picking the Trundle, second picking the Tristana, but they're on blue side this time. Things will change. And that's what we have to look at. Perhaps blue side really is just a buff in and of itself by draft order.
And it's allowed the teams not only to get a better draft order for themselves, but when you approach that mid game, if you have a lead, you can simply play around red buff and the Baron buff, which both Rogue Warriors and JD tried to do. JD were able to do it, they prolonged it. Took them about 44 minutes before they could close out the match with double Elder Dragon. For the side of Rogue Warriors though, they smashed it. They were able to pick fights at red buff, take Baron, and just end the game.
The question is, from this point, is this the game that we get the Jinx? Is this the game that Loken says, I will carry, I'm playing well, you have to trust me? And he goes for the big carry pick, he makes the hero plays, and does exactly what JD need to get them into playoffs.
And it's the final time that JD can show their draft. They want to try and make it into playoffs. Let's see what they have for us heading into game number 3. Ryze, Karma, and Tahm Kench. They're going to be taken off the table. Xayah still left available. That's the swap for the Karma ban. Galio, Swain, as well as Camille. They're going to be the 3 bans coming out from Rogue Warriors. Xayah instantly locked in for Loken in the bottom lane.
Exactly what we said should happen does for JD this time around. Rogue Warriors is very quick to respond, though, taking the Ornn away from Zoom. I have a feeling that Mouse has understood full well that he's not a big fan of the double pillars zoning him away from top lane.
No, he is not. And that's 2 games already that Zoom's played the champion. Now Mouse gets his chance. Rogue Warriors also decide to split up the lovers duo in the bottom lane. They pick up Rakan as their support of choice.
It's always a risky decision to go towards the Rakan. Not many teams commit to taking away the duo. Instead, they'll generally go towards a counter themselves as a strong 2v2. So now this causes a spanner to be thrown into the works. In fact, the only team you really see do this is SKT.
Why, hello. Leona gets picked up as the support of choice for Lumao. Up against Kalua's Rakan. Let's see if Rogue Warriors showcase what their AD carry is going to be paired with that during the last few picks in the draft phase. And a Gangplank locked in for Zoom, going for a carry, top side of the map for JDG.
A lot has changed right now through this Game 3 draft. The Gangplank early rotated, knowing that the Ornn is there. Wants to carry, wants to contribute damage towards the later stages of the game. The Kha'Zix once again for Flawless. Has acknowledged what he was doing well on. Everything has shifted. The dynamic of drafting has completely changed.
You said it yourself during that match. What was different between this Rogue Warriors and the Rogue Warriors that have been present for the past 3 series that they've lost has been Flawless. Stepped up in that match on Kha'Zix. Makes sense to let him go back on something he felt comfortable in that last game. Let's see if it's going to be Predator once again. So normally it's Electrocute. Played it well with the Predator Mastery.
Certainly did. Embracing the Korean style, it seems. I know Raz mentioned that on the analyst desk. I like that a lot, but I also like that they've banned the Kaiser away.
Yes.
Don't want to give that one over. They picked a low-range AD carry. They picked the Leona. There's a chance they could just focus and kill Kaiser. But with the way that Rogue Warriors play as a style, with the fact that SMLZ can reposition himself individually, doesn't need the team to protect him constantly, it felt like the perfect pick for him as a player.
Even throwing bans Doinby's way. Cassiopeia is going to be the target ban at Doinby. Whereas for Rogue Warriors, they take away the two crucial tanks in the jungle. Only Skarner is really left available for Clid if he wants to pick up a tank. Zac is Sejuani off the table. But it's a Varus lock-in for Rogue Warriors.
They know what their bottom lane's now going to be. Varus Rakan. Some engage from that bottom lane. The Ornn also with some mid-range engage. And there is a decent amount of damage to be seen from the Rogue Warriors roster. They just need to round it out with anything they would like, honestly, in that middle lane. A split pusher would work a treat. Something that can assassinate work. The 2v2 would be just as nice. The rest of the composition from JD now starting to come to fruition.
And they decide to go for that final meta tank in the jungle of Skarner, locked in for Clid.
Of course, the Zac and the Sejuani were banned away from him, so it was the next best option for himself. The level 4 jungler, though, against the Kazakhs, who wants that level 3.
Left their final pick of mid lane, Yakao will get the Emperor of Shurima to hit up against whatever Doinby decides to pick here. SMLZ is still hovering onto Cleanse as well. Curious to see if he decides to keep that Summoner spell. If Kahlua still holds onto the heal to go up against the aggressive bottom lane picked up with the Leona. But Sion is the final pick for Rogue Warriors. Very tanky mid lane pick.
Yeah.
And shuts down Azir incredibly well.
They put themselves into a very good mid lane matchup here, Doinby going towards the Sion. Lots of early pressure, and Azir as a scaling champion needs to stand still to deal damage with his Sand Soldiers. And you cannot outrange a Sion's E that covers so much distance, and he will poke you down. Rogue Warriors, they give themselves a bit of control in the middle lane. They've got the tank in the top lane to push in against the Gangplank as well. Flawless with the potential to assassinate and engage everywhere in the bottom lane. The damage is still evident, but it does scale off quite highly.
It does. Rogue Warriors will be able to control the top side of the map. That unlocks Flawless, but have to keep track of him throughout the early stages of this match. JDG, it seems that they have to focus heavily in the bottom lane. No aggressive summoners going to be locked in for the bottom lane duo of Rogue Warriors. It's going to be a cleanse and a heal, trying to survive that lane. And if JD have an opportunity to attack that, it could be the downfall of Rogue Warriors, because many teams have taken that path to shut down Rogue Warriors. Attack the bottom lane and making sure that SMLZ and Kahlua can't roll into the mid game with an advantage.
The only spanner in the works here for JD is that Skarner pick. Very strong in the early game, loves to do some work in the mid game as well, but his late game utility always tends to drop off. Can only really connect to those tanks when there's QSSs available, so it's a difficult task in this game for Clid to put in any kind of work, have any semblance of utility in the later stages of this game. Rogue Warriors didn't build themselves for late game either, so perhaps Clid is the strength that JD need to get them through the early game, to help them through the mid game, and to give them that late game where they want to team fight, where they want to outscale, use that Azir, use that Xayah.
And all's on the line for them as well. Rogue Warriors, they've locked in their playoff spot. We've said it time and time again. They're going to be second place moving into playoffs. But for JDG to beat their rivals of Suning, the e-commerce wars, they have to win here against Rogue Warriors, and it's gone to the third and final match. So let's get on to Summoner's Rift to see if JDG can lock themselves a playoff spot, or if Rogue Warriors will deny them that opportunity. He's still there, Rusty. That's going to be the last cheer we get from Jindong, unless they win this match and make it into playoffs, knocking out their rivals of Suning Gaming.
Do it for the guy that yells loudly, Jingdong. That's what it's about. Nice little ward kill there from Mao as well and his Leona.
He starts Q.
More Predators.
The owners do want to normally go for E, level 1, but not going to matter too much to Luma. But yes, Predators picked up by both junglers this time. Typical on Skarner, as Raz mentioned on this. More of a Korean style coming out from Flawless, and it has begun. The
yes.
Initial push coming out from Doinby.
You see what happened at level 1, you will see that off cooldown, constantly trying to hit Yagao. He's also gone towards the Unsealed Spellbook in the middle lane. Most Azirs commit to the Sorcery tree. They want to have the Comet or the Airy so they can continue to output damage, but he's acknowledged that he's losing in lane.
Yeah.
He's going to go towards teleport when he gets poked out. It's inevitable. That's just the way that he wants to play the laning phase here, Yagao. He's not going to have a good time. But on the bottom lane, you mentioned that Leonas want to start with E. Well, against the Rakan, it doesn't matter too much. You can start with Q because you'll hit the stun on him and he can't disengage. But Kahlua saw him level the Q first, and instead of dashing forwards using the W and getting stunned, starts with the Q and constantly pokes him out instead.
On top of that, you saw them able to control the wave at level 1, make sure that it's pushing in their favor, and slowly at that, so they hit level 2 first. Checking with Flawless, we got a Leashless start on the top side of the map, picking up red buff for himself. There are his runes being picked up. Scorch as well as Water Walking. Make sure he moves incredibly fast already with that Predator.
Yeah, cheap shot, Zombie Ward, an ingenious Hunter this time around. The reduced Trinket cooldowns and maybe to get more wards out, a bit more vision control. He's found Mao already.
Gets some good damage. Red buff's going to slow him down. Kahlua has the option of going forward, but Flawless just takes the damage, and that's all he's going to get for it.
Yeah, chooses not to be overly aggressive jumping forwards any further. Doesn't know where the Skarner is, but they do now. There's a couple of pings going down towards that side of the jungle. Clid will try his best to not get spotted by the minions that are coming through.
I believe he just did, though, but he was already spotted by a couple of wards, as you mentioned. And he placed under wards of his own, not actually spotted out
No, he wasn't spotted. They pinged where he would be, presumably, because Flawless was seen in the bottom side of the map. The natural progression of junglers is to go to the opposite side and take any jungle that isn't available. So what's good about that is the way that Flawless pathed himself. The fact that he went from red to bottom lane before he cleared the blue side jungle means that he can go back to get those camps at any moment.
Which means he does get the single major Gromp, about 70 gold for that, but leaves everything else, so that will slowly despawn. It's not going to be available for the jungle on the side of Rogue Warriors. Flawless will not be able to pick that one up. Puts a couple of wards out as well to track Kha'Zix later on. He goes back to base after clearing all the Gromps on the bottom side of the map. Oh, all the Krugs, sorry.
All the Grobs.
Too many frogs.
Frogs en masse.
Finally checking with the mid lane. Doinby actually not having a great time. He's out of mana.
He has 2 corrupting potion stacks to use. He's chosen not to use them at all. He also has the teleport to come back to lane, but I think he's just used far too many spells. Of course, you can see right there that he's got the mana flow ban, so he's okay. And I wouldn't say, Fish, that he's not having a good time. I think he's having a grand old experience. The wave's pushing back towards him as well, but he's just out of mana.
One of the first times he saw this was when it was debuted by RNG Xiao, who played the mid lane quite well.
Xiao is a tank guy, so is Doinby, so no
used
surprise that those are the two that pick it up.
He used to play facilitators, but I believe it was Scout on the Azir, and he wasn't having a good time at all. He was 10 to 15 CS behind this stage in the match, underneath his turret, shoved in. As you mentioned though, Yakal moving away from Sorcery Tree. Does go for Unsealed Spell, but picks the minion dematerializer as well, trying to survive this lane. It has done incredibly well so far, making sure that's just not just a one lane for Rogue Warriors.
So much more priority from Doinby in this mid lane to clearing the waves, not hitting Yagao. Maybe it is a result of having that Unsealed Spellbook, knowing full well that he can teleport in. Just wants to control the wave a bit more. Perhaps unlocks Flawless, of course, in the jungle role to make something happen. And right now, he is hovering top lane. Remember that Mouse has Unsealed Spellbook, so he has Ignite. That's a teleport from Doinby.
Trying to get to the top lane. That's the minion that was tanking the turret as well. Flawless is here. Zooms the trouble. The Ignite is ticking. And First Blood's picked up by Flawless.
And they get out pretty cleanly in the end. Of course, on the opposite side, the teleports are there. The immediate response.
And it's Yakao coming into the bottom lane. SMLs, he gets locked down, flashes back towards the turret. Exhaust is used on towards Loka. Kahlua jumps back in to try and protect him. Klid's down there, looking to try and take on the turret, but it's Yakao that's taking the turret, gets that kill on SMLZ. Kahlua is safe, but they trade sides of the map, top for bottom.
It's super clean from Yakao in this instance. The Azir.
Oh, no. Zoom, no.
Oh,
you don't want to be there. They're still on the top lane. Mouse is taking all the damage. Zoom tries to eat an orange, but it's not K-Rusty. It's not, because that's 2 kills to Rogue Warriors.
You can't commit to that teleport if you don't know where they are. Your team is on the bottom lane. Your teleport went to the bottom lane. What are you thinking, man? They just hit 6 and they kill him for it. They get the first turret first, and maybe he wanted to buy some time, you know, make sure that they get the turret first and they're able to push. Azir does push quite quickly with the Xayah, and the Skarner was down there. There was 4 of them. But that doesn't actually make the difference when they were there first by about 20 seconds.
Oh no, Kahlua, what have you done? Jumps over the wall, forced to flash away. Interesting decision to take the blast cone there.
It's getting messy, lads. It's getting real messy on Summoner's Rift.
That entire scene looked like a page out of the old lane swap books, where you dive the people underneath the turret, you try and force one down as quick as possible.
The teams that were diving were doing it correct. The groupings of the teams that were there, the top side having Doinby teleport, Mouse and Flawless going in, was the correct decision. On the opposite side, Yagao being able to teleport was super valuable for them. Switching to teleport as well from base before coming into the fight to contribute was the correct move. It's the follow-up, the fact that Kahlua has to flash away from a position he shouldn't be. The fact that Zoom died.
JD are going to try and stop this Infernal Dragon. They slide in, Flawless picks it up. Mouse is here, however, starts a full-blown team fight. It's going to be a first kill on towards Stormy in the mid lane. Loken picks that one up. Lumia now trying to run away from the zombies whilst the rest of the team, Loken as well as Yakal, both flashing over the wall. A pick goes over towards JD, but Rogue Warriors get the objective.
And they get the Infernal Dragon as well. If it was a Cloud, you may not be too happy about that. JD, they've grouped up. They're starting to siege and threaten structures now. They have put themselves with a position to at least feel empowered by killing Doinb. He doesn't have the teleport either, so mid lane has to be held by Mouse. They've swapped lanes, I think.
Doinb's going to be the one heading up towards the top side of the map. Mouse is going to be sitting in the mid lane for now. Force looking to try and take down his own blue buff. Of
course, that is a banner of command being rushed by Doinb. You would have it no other way playing Sion into a Azir in the middle lane.
Please make it stop.
Of course, they can't put it into the top side. There's a gangplank that can clear it perfectly fine.
And despite Zoom falling to the 2 kills after teleporting back into the lane, he's able to get an assist off that fight at the Infernal Dragon. He's able to farm up. Small CS lead for himself. And he's going to try and continue scaling into the late game. JDG, they're even in gold. Rogue Warriors have that extra Infernal, but the game is completely even.
Things have actually subsided, and the end result to me is that Loken's in a position of power. You compare the difference with those AD carries, and that means that JD are set to succeed through their 2v2. On the opposite side for Rogue Warriors, Flawless. He is 2-0, so he's actually set up to do a lot of damage. He's going to be assassinating people, but it is hard to assassinate Azaya, especially when she ticks over to level 6. Even though there's no summoner spells available for Loken.
Top of that, Eclid is fast enough. Flawless trying to dive into backline to get an assassination on someone like Yakao instead. He can lock him down. Force it so that the Kha'Zix can't go invisible anymore. He can't jump away. They try and execute him when he goes for those assassinations.
It's about to happen, by the way. Banner of Command is finished.
It's already complete. 9 minutes in, we have a Banner of Command on the map. And Doimi's going to look to continue pushing that mid lane. Yakao's, if he wasn't having a bad time, now he's going to have a bad time.
The thing is, he'll just put it on a cannon and he'll leave because it's Doinb. It's not even that he's going to be a giant nuisance to Yagao, it's that he wants to stop him from contributing to anything that happens. And this is currently some very early attempts at pressure from a level 6 Kha'Zix. My expectations is that in the next wave, if it is the cannon wave, Doinb will use the Banner of Command and he'll just peace out.
Skarner is here, a little Flawless, going back in on top of Yakao, gets some damage. Sand Soldiers get thrown back, but they just look for the poke, and that's all they need. Yakao's now down below half health.
Flawless has shown a consistency to jumping away after doing his combo. Saves the jump because of the move speed that he has with Boots of Mobility, and of course Predator. He chooses to activate that one. As speaking of Predators,
going to try and lock down Flawless, doesn't tag him with the Scrying Orb, so can't spot him during the invisibility.
On the hunt was Clid just there.
He wanted to lock him down. Yakao wasn't there at the time though, but he did have the back out of Lumao.
Having that Leona nearby is all the crowd control you need. Skarner, this early in the game, of course, does still do a decent amount of damage.
Uh-oh. Clid now might turn from the Hunter to the Hunted as Rogue Warriors find him on top of a ward. Doinb gets that kill for Rogue Warriors.
Here they go straight towards the bottom lane. Of course, they've received the pick. I have to imagine Yagao is preoccupied with a Banner of Command minion that was used. And they threaten bottom lane looking for the siege. Actually, it was used bottom lane on a cannon, I lied.
So Rogue Warriors might just try to siege bottom lane outer turret. Nice and early. They've got 4 members down here. Teleport's available for Mouse, and he's even rotated into the mid lane to deal with the pushing that's come out from Yakao.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a case of try it. JD know that it was going to happen, that it would be successful. They didn't want to deal with it. They didn't want to stop it from happening because they couldn't. And so they go mid lane. They group up around there instead. You could even see Loken hovering the area on the Zaya, looking for the opportunity to perhaps siege there if someone steps up too far. But Doinb recalls. He doesn't walk back to mid lane. So they don't get a pick. And that just means that it is a victory overall by Rogue Warriors, getting a pick on a Skarner and going to bottom lane and getting a turret.
And that gives them 1,000 gold lead over JDG. Just 11 minutes into the match. One of the first times we've actually seen the blue side team put at a deficit. It's a small deficit, but it's a deficit nonetheless. SMLZ's also not opted to go towards the crit build, which we've seen him build on Varus before. He's going towards the more traditional Gwynsu Rageblade. Again,
I actually don't think you would go for it first item though. That is super risky to do. I know he's done it before, but you would prefer to have a Gwynsu's Rageblade and maybe even a Wit's End if the team composition of your opponents calls for it.
And then go towards crit?
Go towards the rest of your build. There's actually a, I don't know if you've seen this, but there is a build running around in solo queue at the moment that is AP Varus, where you go Guinzu's Rageblade Witsend and then like Death Cap. It scales incredibly well.
Varus does scale really well.
It's a tank shredding build.
I think all of his abilities except for Q and maybe E don't scale in AP. His W and R scale really well in ability power.
Yeah, it's a tank shredding build. That's
It's
the whole purpose. The W. And
SML
the ultimate's like 1-to-1 scale.
If there was going to be a player to do it, it would be SMLZ. But Rogue Warriors are looking to try and lock down JDG's bottom lane again. Flawless, he's invisible once more. Logan using the ultimate. Call with the Forge Gold, want to lock them down. Flawless takes a lot of damage, but SMLZ responds. They get a kill to Logan. Clint's trying to join the fight. Flashes forward, but he gets knocked up by Doin before he can drag him back, stuck in the animation. Rogue Warriors pick up 2 kills for themselves.
Clint steps up on the back of a losing team fight with the AD carry dead and sacrifices himself for that as well. Doinby gets the knock-up as he is locked in place. They get 2 nice little kills there. It should be the Rift Herald secured, especially with that Honey Fruit just nearby for Flawless. No response available one more time from JD. We saw some nice moves from Loken though. Again, the fancy feet were there. The damage that he put out was very noticeable, but it's not going to save his life. He is not in a position to succeed. He's using the ultimate to try and disengage from crowd control when there is like 7 different variants of that crowd control available.
I mean, Flawless, again, just looking so good on this Kha'Zix. Yes, Logan had the fancy footwork, looked like he was doing good work, but this Predator Kha'Zix is such a good look for him.
The thing is, watch Loken here. He knows exactly what he has to do, and that is dodge the engage, and he half-healths all of them. But Mouse is here. He's going to headbutt the wall, and even if he wasn't there, the SMLZ had already connected with the Varus ultimate. Good timing on the knockup from Doinby. Clint just out of position. Probably shouldn't have grouped up at that stage.
Something we complimented JD for in both Game 1 and Game 2 was their patient play. Very early on, they let Rogue Warriors throw everything they had at them, and they reacted to it nicely. They did really well in Game 1, it got them a win. Game 2, they won a team fight. It was the second play that didn't work out for them. This time round, they are being a bit patient again, but their members are just not in the right position to deal with all the proactive plays that Rogue Warriors are throwing their way. Only Loken and Lumel stuck in a prolonged lane top side of the map. No one else is there to protect them. Not even their jungler is close by. A teleport from Yakar doesn't even get him there on time.
There is a reason for why the members of the teams aren't there, and that's where you attribute a decent amount of this to the draft specifically. When you look at the Scion into the Azir in the middle lane, Banner of Command being rushed for it as well. It's so hard for Yagao to be relevant. That is a quick Kha'Zix.
Is that Skarner or Kha'Zix? Because he's so fast. Jumps away from Yakar's ultimate as well.
And every single time the consistency of jumping away is there. There comes a time where Yagao just needs to not throw that ultimate, expect that he's going to jump away, or throw it sooner and try and lock him down before he can jump. Best case scenario is that you cancel the jump. For what it's worth, Flawless does the damage, and it's enough damage to secure themselves a Cloud Drake uncontested once again. JD not contesting objectives because they're getting chunked out before it. They can't rotate from the draft, disabling their ability to do so. They're scaling, and they are trying very hard to scale and not lose anything, but the pressure is noticeable.
It certainly is. 2 Elemental Dragons being picked up by Flawless. He's 3-0-1, on track to another MVP performance. If Rogue Warriors can pick up a win here, using Rift Herald in the mid lane, and slowly as the goal lead increases for Rogue Warriors, JD's chances of playoffs get slimmer and slimmer. They have to win this match. It is a do-or-die game.
Get a solid slam off there from the Rift Herald. Full health slam onto the turret. Another little chunk out there as well. Banner Command range minion. Get it. Oh. Oh.
It got
real quick.
He got real quick. 2 more Demon Materializers available for Azir still. You can never say that one correct the first time.
It's yourself and Froskurin that are on struggle
and
stream.
Rivington.
Oh, is it?
Rivington's been very vocal about how he can't say it the first time.
So it's a consistent thing now.
Why is it named that?
Being able to say minion dematerializer seems to be a unique art, does it?
Yes. The first time.
The first time.
Afterwards, it should be fine. But look at Flawless again, trying to hunt through the back lines here. 5 members of JD are just waiting in this mid lane, making sure that's a full-blown ARAM at the moment.
And why not have an ARAM with an Ornn and a Scion running around? A Varus to be protected as well by the Rakan. If they had the Rift Herald, they had the capabilities to set themselves up in that position. But now it's time to reset, reassess the waves, and get your side lanes going. There's no Baron to look at, though. We're only 16 minutes in, but it feels like, with the control that Rogue Warriors have got running around on this Rift, it feels later in the game.
It does. But it's not that bad for JD at the moment. Yes, they're 2,000 gold behind, but that's 2,000 gold 16 minutes in with the map wide open.
Yeah, it's not noticeable through the gold difference. That's definitely not the point that we'd be making here. It just feels that way with the map control, with the fact that Rogue Warriors seem so comprehensively ahead. And the thing with that is, if you've ever played League of Legends, you know you don't see the gold. And by not knowing that it's 2,000 gold, it could feel like 5 to them.
Yep.
Just because they're constantly losing.
You can tell that everyone from JD as well as remembers what happened in the last match from Flawless. Everyone except for Lumao has their Ninja Tabbies picked up. SMLZ going towards that Rage build makes more sense now, having that little bit extra magic damage, because they don't have any of that besides the bits and pieces from Doinby and Mouse. Flawless going to be purely physical damage.
And of course, the carry of Rogue Warriors secures himself the red buff.
Obviously, Kahlua.
As you do. Skarner was sprinting at it, but I don't think that was intentional regardless. Doinby
takes it away from SMLZ. Doinby top side of the map, still pushing against Yakao. Forced away from his turret once again. Mid lane out of turret is going to be fairly low. Predator's being used by Flawless again, just trying to make sure that JD are constantly aware that Kha'Zix is running around the map.
It's the place to be, this middle lane right now. They've actually set up the 1-3-1. They've got their tanks going to side lanes and grouping to mid lane constantly. And now the grouping happens one more time, threatening. Ever present is the potential of an engage from Mouse, or a flank from Doinby on his Scion.
But the longer that JD can hold this turret, the more time Zoom has to farm. 40 CS up over Mouse. He's got his Trinity Force complete, looking for his Youmuu's next. With Kleptomancy from his early gold when he was going 1-on-1.
He is pretty far ahead. In fact, most of the gold difference being nullified, you would imagine, is through Zoom right now.
Has to be.
That CS differential is enough to keep you in it. Normally, Ornn wants to be ahead in farm, but the way Mouse plays League of Legends is not conducive to getting a farm lead ever in his life.
No.
You wouldn't know what to do with it.
And we talked about how teams recently have been able to pick on Mouse. Kind of going back to what we thought about Mouse when he first joined Rogue Warriors. Yes, you know, he's a top laner that does all right, but he's one that can be bullied. He showed us during the early stages of the split that that's not the case anymore. Recently falling back to that same form.
Mouse is a top laner with a purpose, Fish.
Yep.
He does his job. Whether it wins or loses, he tends to do the same thing. It's about how the teams play around his existence and his consistent job. Which
might make the pick of Gangplank worthwhile for JD, because that's going to be the playstyle for Mouse all the time. Oh my goodness, Cleared actually going aggressive. There's a teleport in here. Flawless is getting very low. About 500 hit points. Forces the teleport cancel out of Mouse.
And it was a nice poke on the Flawless, but he still has the summoner spells available. Gets the blue buff with the smite. All that really does is slow the pace of the invades, the vision, and the game down a little bit further. And that is still that end result. They're still scaling. They need to get to the item spikes, though. Scaling is one thing. Getting to those spikes lets them get the kills.
And that's what we were talking about. Zoom on this Gangplank. He's up against Mouse. Mouse being that role player of the team. He's not a bad player, but if he's going to keep playing this playstyle, will allow Gangplank to farm, pick up massive waves that are pushed on towards the turret like this. But what are those item spikes that we're looking towards for JDG? Because Mouse already has 2 of them. How many more do they need before they can start fighting Rogue Warriors?
They probably look towards 3 items, I would have to expect. There's so much magic resistance and armor that's going to be picked up by the tanks running everywhere that a 2-item spike generally isn't enough. You need the 3rd item because that'll be your armor or magic penetration. Okay. So the Last Whisper, the Void Staff's the place to look. Right now with the Liandry's potentially done from Yagao as his 2nd item of choice, damage amplification. That would be good for damage over time against tanks, which naturally will happen. But until he gets the Void Staff, 10% increase on what is no damage isn't really anything.
We'll have to keep track of those items, see if they can get there eventually. But it's going to be Rogue Warriors looking for the fight. Yakal caught out by Flawless here. Takes a lot of damage. Exhaust is used. It's going to be enough to keep him alive. Jumps forward. Tries to get a big shield. Loco chasing down. Gets the kill there. But the rest of the team being ripped apart by Rogue Warriors. So far, only their support falling. 1-for-1 trade. Jungler for support should be in favor of JD.
Zoom still looking.
They've lost their turret, however. Emperor of Shuma is going to put up 1 for himself. Rogue Warriors go for the pick. They don't get it. Clid was trying to see if he could collapse onto Kahlua. Doesn't drag him back into the squad.
Yeah, Clid had the ultimate back after the prior fight at the blue buff, so they look for the opportunity, and in fact, they get the victorious fight. Compliments of Yagao playing that Azir and being able to use the Emperor's Divide, knock them towards his team. But unfortunately, for the side of Rogue Warriors, it was just Flawless dying, and the rest of the team doesn't have a crazy amount of damage. And you're already starting to see these moments of perhaps the team's damage is scaling off.
Potentially. On top of that, Rogue Warriors, they tried to force that. Yes, they get the objective for themselves. It's traded back by JD with the Ocean Dragon. But if they can already pull off fights like this, it's scary for Rogue Warriors.
Flawless does do a lot of damage. You can see it there, but again, shoves him in this time, gets the reactions in place, the heal, the shield's all there. And Loken is the only person to help the carry. And during this time, you don't get to see what happened during that time. You come back to the game. Bad luck.
What happened? Oh, okay, I'll talk about that later, but the replay coming up there, that is the signs of what can happen for JDG. Zoom's already farmed up. He's got a BF sword for himself now on top of his 2 items. We're already talking about how we're really looking towards the 3 item spike for the team. They're getting closer and closer towards it. It would mean lots of cooldown reduction for Loken, lots of damage from the AD carry as well as the mid laner. And tankiness of Clear to try and get into the backlines against the 2 tanks that Rogue Warriors currently have.
Still advancing forwards is Rogue Warriors. They still have that lead, but it is only 2,000, and that dwindling 2,000 gold will never amount to winning the game. One banner of command isn't going to cut it against the Nazir because the Gangplank has the lane assignments down. Zoom has constantly been in the right place. He is growing that CS differential, getting to the big item spikes. In fact, a second item, Essence Reaver, going into what I would assume is a third item, Infinity Edge, if not the Guardian Angel, is just maximizing his damage output, knowing that he is far ahead, going the crit build, being as efficient as he possibly can. Whilst Essence Reaver is not perhaps optimal for a second item, he needs to be careful.
Zoom definitely has to be careful because Flawless has made his way into the bottom lane, flashes in towards the bush. Flawless going to try and jump away from this one. Mouse moves forward, throws down the pillar as well. Zoom trying to survive
nice
this one. Has he
dodge.
got away? He got away. Zoom, he's out of there.
By the skin of his teeth as well, changing directions when Mouse uses the W, can't secure him. And the fact that he survives means that the teleport is available. There's no power plays looking for a Baron. There's no number disadvantage. Amazing work from Zoom.
Crucially stays alive in that fight. Teleport was even being used by Kalua to get back into that mid lane, thinking that Rogue Warriors can make a play there. Not going to happen.
That was the moment for Rogue Warriors. That was the chance that Flawless had. Perhaps they get that kill.
And does it become all uphill from here? Because they've sat on a 2,000 gold lead. They're able to break a turret, but even after breaking a turret, still the same gold deficit. JD's still able to fight back, and they're still scaling up.
It's not all uphill just yet. They've still got some time. They've still definitely got the capabilities of winning this game. Varus is massive. You can't sleep on SMLZ. He's rushed to QSS, so he wants to continue that team fighting. And Flawless is just always hunting. That is such a fast Kha'Zix. Getting Scuttle Crab just unlocks everything for a Kha'Zix. My God.
Make it stop.
No, don't make it stop. It's great. Keep it going.
Moby Boots with Predator as well. Allows him to access that quite nicely. Blue buff does get picked up by SMLT. Stolen away from Yako.
It's redemption for Kalua taking his red. Now he had both buffs. They actually just hit Baron.
They just walk towards it.
They just 3-man hit the Baron. Their tanks aren't even there. They're taking damage, but JD haven't moved.
They haven't started moving towards this objective just yet. 7,000 hit points for the Baron buff. Rogue Warriors collapse and go for the initiation instead.
Where are you? All right, I'm out. It was just a joke.
I would say it's like ships in the night, but it wasn't. They passed by each other and they could see each other in plain sight.
It's like a giant juggernaut in the daytime. Now he's just going to go back to base. All a part of my plan.
No, he's not going back to base. Look, he might not have the ultimate, but that's the key flank coming out from Doinby. Locks down Lumao first. Ultimate gets used. SMLZ instantly uses his own QSS. Clear jumps forward. Is able to pull one back. Rakan with the initiation. SMLZ still alive. And they're still looking for a fight here. Doinby gets taken down in the zombie form. Instantly killed by JDG. And it was a flank from Rogue Warriors, but JD win the fight.
They end up trading 1-for-1. Baron no longer able to be looked at.
They're still trying to hunt down Flawless here. He's made his way inside of JD's jungle. Gets the invisibility, puts a couple of wards down. JD is still trying to control this pit. They will be able to clear out a couple of wards quite successfully.
It's a nice little follow-up move there, honestly, from the side of Rogue Warriors. Perhaps the mistake was that the Scion missed. The good part about it is that they let him just slide on by through the middle of the wall. But then he stands his ground and doesn't go back to base. So having that look in at an opportunity was cute from Rogue Warriors. It was unexpected. It
looks a lot better from Doinby. If you don't miss the drift, at least you just continue going forward right through the entire team. Then you didn't technically miss. You were going in a direction that you eventually reached anyway.
He definitely didn't technically miss. He literally missed it. But it doesn't matter because he has another strategy. In fact, the next step in his two-step plan is a Zarot portal. He's going to be that guy. His job is literally, his role in the team is now that guy. That is the literal definition.
He is that boy.
He's not that boy.
Doinby is that boy. He is a green frog.
He's definitely just being a menace with his itemization, and I guess it gives them something else as well, right? To speak towards the build, not to just call him that guy. He's gone for the Zarot portal third. He's got the Banner of Command as well. So now Gangplank has a very annoying experience trying to clear out waves. And Azir just can't bear to deal with both of them going in, pressuring him consistently as well.
But that's the crucial point. Gangplank is going to have a hard time. He doesn't mind Banner of Command minions. Yes, they're a bit difficult to take down, but he does physical damage. CC Rot, yes, going to be a nuisance, but that's about it. A nuisance at best.
But it buys time. So even if it buys 5 extra seconds where the Gangplank has to clear the waves, and now he has to walk all the way over to where the Rot Portal is to take it down, that could be time where Rogue Warriors are setting up for something.
And right now it's JDG who are setting up around the Baron Pit. They do lose Scuttle Crab there, that was taken away. But crucially for them, we're seeing the second phase of the Unsealed Spell Walk be used by Yakgal.
Yeah.
He went for Teleport early. Now he has the Exhaust. So if Flawless goes for an assassination onto either Loken or himself, and he's near the back lines, Lumel doesn't have an Exhaust. He picked up an Ignite for the early fights in the bottom lane. Yakgal has it. It's going to be much more difficult for Flawless to find those assassinations than he had in game number 2.
He is about 1,800 gold away from scaling is the Azir in this middle lane. The Exhaust will be very good for team fighting, but the Void Staff is what he needs the most to be able to kill those tanks, to sit there next to Loken and ensure that Flawless can't assassinate them when the carriers are holding hands, but they can also threaten them to kill the tanks, and they should be able to do it faster than just SMLZ on his Varus. Whilst he has a lot of shred, whilst he has a lot of capabilities to do that, it's not the same. It's not a Blade of the Ruined King Varus, it's a Wit's End.
Did exactly what you said. He went for the Winter's Rage Wave first. But let's talk about later, because Mouse looking for a fight. Gets a knock up, trying to lock down Zoom. Eats an orange and flashes away. Doimby, though, finds a flank in the back lines. Gangplank getting taken out very low, trying to kite this one through the fight. Somehow still alive. Zoom gets out of there. Yakgal gets the first kill. Kalua gets taken down. And JD, they get tasted. A team fight win here could put them back in the lead and make themselves again one step closer to playoffs.
It started as a 1-for-1 trade last fight. This time it's a 2-for-0. JD, they've already got their vision set up around this Baron. If they wanted to kick it off, they may want to go for the pick first, but we'll see how they play it, because these two can do it by themselves.
Xayah has no trouble trying to secure Baron. Flawless, though, is an absolute nuisance on the Predator Kha'Zix, but Mouse, he teleports into this mess, and JD say, you know what? We'll take a top lane pick for a Baron. No problem. Let's take this one instead. 3 picks at the back of a prolonged team fight. Punishing Rogue Warriors, and now they're the ones with the lead.
Yeah, Mouse sacrifices himself perhaps to save the Baron, but that doesn't mean that JD'd have to stop hitting it. In fact, they'll just take the kill, go back to the objective, teleports in as well now from Zoom. He had a lot of money to spend. Now they're going to be very powerful. It's all on Flawless. If he can get it done.
Ooh, Lumel flashing, trying to get a stun as Flawless came out of invisibility. SMLZ taking some damage from Yakgal. Still stepping up. Lumel goes in, gets the ultimate down. QSS used. SMLZ gets that first kill. Doesn't matter. Xayah secures the Baron. 4-4 fight. SMLZ flashing away. Doimby jumps in the fight, locks down one, gives SMLZ the second. Flawless jumping into the fight. Here they go. Kalua looking for the initiation. Gets Yakgal. JD are trying to get out of this one alive. Loken and Zoom dashing away. JD still trying to get out of this one because they're not done yet. SMLZ looking for it. He gets taken down. Good pick coming out from Loken, but they'll bounce him around. Only one Baron buff gets out alive.
Such a good snipe from Loken, but he was going to die regardless. The Varus ultimate had connected onto him. And SMLZ does go down. One Baron buff left standing for the side of Jingdong. Zoom holds the hopes and dreams of their next couple of minutes in his hands. Perhaps playoffs with this single Baron buff could be there for them.
We talked about how it does so well into the playstyle of Mouse. He's a great top laner, but it punishes him because he is scaling. He's almost Flame Horizon him as well. 90 CS up over Mouse at the moment. Almost level 18. Yeah, closest member is 15.
Zoom is super large. He's got the 3 items. We mentioned that he'd go towards the Infinity Edge because he's already snowballed and scaled up, and he has. He completed that Infinity Edge, and now it's a Phantom Dancer as his 4th item. He is well and truly online. And if you can just get him to team fights, he will have a massive impact. These tanks have scaled off so quickly.
He's at 5.5 items, Rusty. Let's take a look at this again. They went on to SMLZ, but he turns around quite nicely.
Yagao also has to use the Emperor's Divide to zone Flawless away. Wants no risk of a steal to be there. But by doing so, by having no mana, they open themselves to this advance. And Kalua does play it nicely, gets them both. Locks down Loken, locks down Yagao. And whilst Loken does a nice little sniper at the end, you'll get to see this under SMLZ. Just presses the Q, gets the feathers back to him. It's still going to be his death for it, and Zoom's the only one left standing.
Very nicely done. Just remember, everyone on the team that picks up Baron gets 300 gold. Rogue Warriors get 4 picks there, so technically still a worthwhile trade for JDG. Ahead in terms of gold, they still have that 1 buff to work with. But Rogue Warriors want to try and stop Zoom from having that buff as well, denied that opportunity.
The problem is that he has to constantly split push against Banner of Commands and Xerop portals as well. So whilst he has the Baron and can deal with that better, it doesn't mean that he's going to be in a position to group up with his team very successfully. In fact, Rogue Warriors still have control of the map for the most part.
He doesn't need to split push as much for gold anymore because he's on 5.5 items.
It's that no one else can split push.
No one else can split push, and he will get a couple of doubloons here and there to upgrade his ultimate when he can. But Zoom is so strong. 18 already. They're looking for a pick in the mid lane. Doinby's forced to use his ultimate to try and charge away from the ultimate of Lumao. Flawless still looking for a flank in the back lines. Predator was used there.
Not a bad scenario for Jingdong, but Flawless, he is speed racing his way in, constantly looking for threats of a pick. If he can just assassinate a single person, the entire tide of the fight shifts.
But they've got an Azir turret right behind them. They're pushing for mid lane inner turret. 30 seconds of Baron buff to work with, and that's only on Zoom. Mouse looking for the initiation. Ultimate being used by SMLZ, countered by Loken to jump away, connects it to Clid, but that's about it.
Mouse forgets which team he's on for a second. He's starting to go.
Oh no, they got him! They locked down Mouse, pulled back to the rest of the team. That's going to be a pick for JD.
They're just trying to buy time here, Rogue Warriors. They catch him out whilst he used the ultimate. He revealed his position. Instead of hitting them, hits it towards his own team, then gets caught dashing away. Well done from Clid. Now JD pushed forwards. No Baron though.
Flawless is taking red buff. While his team's turrets are being taken down, JD will march through the mid lane against Rogue Warriors. First Inhibitor turret taken down, Inhibitor's going to be next. And what looked like Rogue Warriors dominating the early game, JD able to play patiently. They fight back and now they are in control of this match.
Yeah, full acknowledgement that they weren't going to try and trade that. They weren't going to try and fight for that. They just sacrificed the Inhibitor out of necessity. They have to try one more time to push out their waves, perhaps build themselves up for another team fight, because there may only be one more opportunity for Rogue Warriors, and they get outscaled almost entirely now.
One mum spaghetti left for Rogue Warriors to try and stop the scaling from happening for JD here. Still ZZ Up Portal, as well as Banner Command being used by Doinby to continue pushing for him. Remember, he got revenge. Everyone from Rogue Warriors, except for Kalua, who's the rookie, got revenge against their former teams. Would not be great for Doinby if the first time round it was narrowly very close against JDG, and then he drops it and allows them access into playoffs the second time round.
So, fun fact, of course, having Xerop Portal against Super Minions isn't a good thing. It actually slows down the pace of the Super Minions pushing forwards and means that when the wave crashes, there will be more Super Minions in that wave. So it's actually a bad thing to place a Xerop Portal in a wave that has Super Minions there. In saying that, it's only the mid lane, so it doesn't matter too much in this case. It's usually a problem in longer lanes.
And SMLZ should be able to clear that one up. As we check in the rest of the game, here was a team fight that came out from IG as well as LGD, a game that's currently ongoing here. IG very dominant in that matchup so far. And that's how long this best of 3 series has gone, Rusty. That match has already started.
And of course, Duke is playing for Invictus Gaming, as you can see down there in the bottom of your screen. IG should be able to find themselves a pretty simple victory, a 2-0 you'd expect, but LGD, you never know with them. Back to Flawless, however. He's
still invisible, just jumping away. If you want to catch that match, remember panda.tv/LPL or douyu.com/LPL to catch all the action. We're not broadcasting it on the English broadcast. The Chinese casters have you covered. Back into this match, though. This is the important one, because those two teams are locked in their positions. Rogue Warriors, they're locked second place, but JD, we harp on it time and time again. This is playoffs on the line, down to game 3.
Drafted to scale, they've drafted to get to the late game. They've actually tried to team fight against Rogue Warriors, who are always capable of hitting that late game team fight point where they just rely on SMLZ. And SMLZ is 4-2-4 himself, respectively. Very strong scoreline, and he's looked decent in this game thus far. But he doesn't really have the team to work around anymore. But he's committed. He's gone towards the crit build that we speculated he may well do before. The Infinity Edge is now secured. And if anyone from Rogue Warriors is able to deny the rights of Jingdong getting into playoffs and get the absolute revenge for Doinby against his former team, it is SMLZ. He is the man to watch.
Only one of the e-commerce teams to make it into playoffs, and it's in the hand of JD and Rogue Warriors at the moment. As you mentioned, SMLZ's got the 5.5 item, QSS being sat on, whereas for Loken, he's still sitting on components of his 5th item. BF Sword as well as QSS picked up, has the Essence Reaver, has Rapid Fire Cannon as well as Lord Dominic's regards.
It's pretty set to go. Suning Gaming, also Rogue Warriors' biggest fan right now because they are the team that will take the 4th place slot if Jingdong lose this current set. Important to note as well, both teams inconsistent with form, but JD took them down. So they are the ones who have their own destiny to be decided in their own hands.
Not just their biggest fans, but JD are Suning's arch rivals here. The two e-commerce teams, like Amazon against eBay, if you're a fan from the West, in the Chinese League at the moment. The LPL, 4,000 gold advantage for JD in game number 3. Looking for a spot at playoffs. Rogue Warriors had the advantage early game. JD were patient. They fought back. They scaled up. Zoom's at 6 items now.
Baron alive at 37 minutes as well, and JD should have the inside track to this. They should have the vision control established, but there are teleport wards behind them. There was a control ward that just got replaced, actually.
And if that's not enough, if that's not enough, Elder Dragon's up soon as well. About 3 to 4 minutes before that will spawn.
Constant vigilance is necessitated now from Rogue Warriors, having spells flung at the Baron, also a control ward sitting in the pit. The Doinby was trying to defend, but his defense doesn't mean a thing. Jingdong, they just hit it.
And they've had history with Barons being taken away. Flawless has had a massive game 2, and he's looking good in game 3 as well. They have to play this one very careful.
They do. They test the waters. They see what happens. Everyone responds from Rogue Warriors, so they back away. Control your side lanes is usually the first step. Well, they haven't done that. You look towards the bottom lane. Rogue Warriors have it pushing. They're the ones that have control down there because they keep grouping Zoom. He is so strong. They want him here. Full build.
They just got rid of the blast cone. This is going to be difficult for Rogue Warriors. Aston's Baron's getting down very low. Flawless is here. Not invisible at the moment. 4,000 hit points. They turn for a fight. Zoom throwing out the ultimate killer adjustment. Everyone piles in. SMLC's untouched at the moment. Gets a kill onto Lumel. But JDG, they group it up strong as a team. Now turning to SMLC. Gets out alive for now. But Zoom, he's so big. Double kill being picked up. Still trying to chase down remaining members. It's 3 on 2. But who can stop this pirate? He is massive at the moment. Mouse will be the final casualty, and only 2 players from each team exit alive.
Zoom is able to put in the carry performance, but still so good from Rogue Warriors to get a team fight that even goes equal in that instance. Teleports coming out. They've got bottom lane pushing. The fact that that fight went even is still a win from RW.
It certainly is. They do use their teleport to get Doinby back towards top side of the map. It's not the Baron attempt coming out from Skarner and gameplay pointing back to what you talked about earlier though, Rusty. They didn't set up their side lanes. That was pushing for Rogue Warriors. And now Zoom's the one that has to be sent into the bottom lane to deal with just that. Remember, all the gold that he picks up now does nothing. He's at max build. He can sell a couple of items, but here's the team fight again.
Team fight once again starts off with Ornn and Doinby on the Scion, hitting all of the carries. Flawless also gets into the back line and forces the disengage immediately. And whilst he goes down, they all focused him. So you can't forget about SMLZ, because during that time, he was able to maximize his damage output, flashes at the last second, and continues that onslaught. But Zoom's such a big presence, SMLZ knows that a single Q would have killed him. So he backed away, and that's why they had to sacrifice Mouse for that one.
SMLZ plays the fight fantastically. Yes, Loken pops the ultimate at the perfect time to go invulnerable as all the spells cluster into one area. Takes no damage from the initial engage that came out from both teams. All the damage he took was from SMLZ, who stepped up to take down the AD carry.
What matters the most right now is that the summoner spells are missing from every single member of the map right now except Flawless.
And it's actually Rogue Warriors that try to start a fight, locking down Lumel first. Doinby gets the slow as well. Loken looking to try and lock them down. They pull Doinby back in the team. Kalua looking for the reinitiation. Loken left untouched in the back line, so is SMLZ at the moment. They're going to go for full-on brawl. Zoom still left untouched as well. Rogue Warriors, they start the fight. Now they're retreating. SMLZ with the QSS just to get some extra movement speed. They turn towards Mouse. Lumel locks him down. Flawless goes for the assassination, but does nothing. JD get a pick onto Rogue Warriors top laner.
And again, Mouse is just dead. 50 seconds. They could choose to walk towards the mid lane inhib. They could choose to walk towards the Baron, or they could just go over to the Elder Dragon. It doesn't look like Rogue Warriors want to trade major objectives. Instead, they group up around the Baron. They have contested this time and again, and they want to do it a third time.
It's a 4-on-5. Yes, Zoom and Lumel low on health. They try to jump in, but it is going to be Akal that secures the Baron. So close to history repeating itself for JD, but they get the Baron buff, and they're one step closer to taking the game.
You get that feeling that times are in fact changing when it comes to Jingdong and that Baron buff, securing it in a Smite War. Wasn't an outright 50-50, but it was Yagao that even picks it up in the end. Doesn't matter who gets it. They've got the Baron buff. Now they can set up around the Elder Dragon. Rogue Warriors should have some vision here in place, knowing that they've been at the Baron and recalling, but there's none to be seen.
Mouse is up and available. Teleport is available for Rogue Warriors if JD try to force an Elder Dragon fight. Crucially, Loken has not gone back to base, still sitting on that QSS, yet to upgrade that.
We're at 6 items for Zoom as well in his gangplank. Boots are gone.
Yep.
That man is ready to go. He is well equipped.
Lord Dominic's Regard's going to be picked up. Even Clid saying, you know what, Zoom's to carry this match. Puts his Night's Vow on top of
there,
him.
Sunshine.
Flawless trying to jump in the back lines, but the Shurima turret spots him out. Instead, Rogue Warriors go for a fight. SMLZ gets Zoom. That's the carry. Gone. Lumao's going to go down next. 2 kills being picked up. Loco can't find access to the fight. Clid takes one back for his team. Yakal takes some damage, but Doimbi's going to fall. So far, it's going to be a 2-for-2 trade. Rogue Warriors put up a fight at their inhibitor.
The 2-for-2 trade still gives the inhibitor to Jingdong, however, lets them still go towards the Elder Dragon. The 3 members alive is all they need. The smite is there, the damage dealers are there, and Rogue Warriors have no tanks to step up to this. It's going to be really risky if they try and contest this, but remember that whilst no tanks are there from Rogue Warriors, the assassination and damage is still there from them.
Very risky from Flawless there. Takes the blast cone over the wall, spotted out by JD. They try to collapse, not going to be enough. Mouse has no teleport. So even though he's going to respawn in 18 seconds, Zoom has his. Doimbi doesn't have his own teleport as well. Rogue Warriors are trying to collapse on towards this pit. Flawless is still trying to sneak into the back line, see if he can get an assassination on towards Yaka, or he can get an assassination on Loken.
Here. Oh no, oh.
He's got to be careful. Yako is alone. The isolation's right there. Flawless, he wants it. He's going to try and go for it. Finds him, gets good damage onto Azir. Half health him, immediately backs away. Lumao tries to throw out the ultimate, gets him to the Zeta plate. Yako going in. Divide comes out. JD take down the jungler from the side of Rogue Warriors. They have their eyes set towards Elder Dragon.
Flawless takes one of the riskiest decisions you will see from a jungler and tries to assassinate Yagao. It looked good, but he jumped away expecting the Emperor's Divide and then jumped into the welcoming arms of the rest of JD. So honestly, just a massive mistake from him on what was a great idea.
And it pulled back to what you said at the start of the match. First time he went for that, Emperor's Divide used right away. Yakao read him. That's what his play pattern was like this time. When he jumps in, holds onto it, waits for the second opportunity, works out for JD. Mouse is not in base at the moment. Only 3 members are trying to defend this, and they give up their turret. It's Elder as well as Baron. Flash forward for Clint, looking to lock down Doimbi. He has to flash out immediately with the assistance of SMLZ's ultimate. They still lose their inhibitor, turret, and inhibitor there. 2 parts of the base broken for JD.
Nice little save from SMLZ to ensure that his tank mid laner stays alive as well. But that second inhib going down leaves only 1 lane remaining for the side of Rogue Warriors left to defend. The last bastion of hope for them. And can this tank team composition work around the full build SMLZ? Can they actually get that nearly impossible team fight right now with the comp that they've got going? They just looked way too outscaled, especially against the Elder Dragon.
Back to the same point or similar point that we saw in game 1. This time, it's the first Elder Dragon. Going to fall off much faster. No Baron buff left to work with for the side of JD either. They're pushing towards the final lane that's left for them to push down. Top lane, inner, as well as inhibitor turret are left open. You were talking about SMLZ earlier. He is the carry to watch in these team fights. He could make or break the fights for Rogue Warriors unless Flawless can find that assassination attempt.
It's really hard to assassinate now, though. Yagao's gone towards a stopwatch as his last item. We'll go towards the Zonias eventually, but just having the stopwatch means that how is Flawless going to do that? The second Flawless reveals himself and he's standing on top of Yagao. Stopwatch can come down, and then Flawless is out of position.
An upgraded Infinity Edge coming up from SMLZ here as well. On gives those item advantages. Flawless is still trying to see if he can find a way into the back lines, but look at Clit's positioning. All the way from the mid game. He's dropping back behind the team, waiting to see if Flawless does anything. In fact, Flawless looks to try and get a little bit of damage on towards Clit, but the tanky skeleton doesn't matter to it.
No, they want to try and distract him, perhaps pull them away from the wave, the lane, give them a second to actually clear the minions. It's working right now as well.
They're going to be able to pull back Doimbi though. He thought he had a flank, but he did not. Mouse trying to get the collapse though, but they take down Doimbi. That's 1 pick onto Rogue Warriors tank. Only 4 members left to defend the final inhibitor against Elder Dragon JD. They're pushing for it here, Rusty.
Flawless looking for anything, something. They're going in.
They jump in. They go for the 4-5 Zoom. Taking turret. Takes down very low. That's Guardian Edge. We pop SMLZ left untouched. Uses QSS nicely. Away from Leo's ultimate. Flawless jumps in. That's going to be his own Guardian Angel. SMLZ is still alive. Yakao jumps in. The carry is dead. Rogue Warriors are all dead. JD have done it. They take down Rogue Warriors and they're pushing for the win.
Only Mouse left, but there's too many minions. The game is just done. Mouse has to watch.
He has to do something here, but something is not going to be enough. They take him down. They've done it. Take that, Sunny. JD, they had it in their hands. They take down their rivals. They take down Rogue Warriors, and they have now made it into playoffs.
It should be all smiles and elation this time around from JD because they do get the 2-1 victory. They get revenge on their former mid laner. and they beat Suning and Rogue Warriors at the exact same time, putting themselves into playoffs. They controlled their own destiny. They beat Suning Gaming 2-1 when they met. And all they had to do now was upset a team that is above them on the standings. Not an easy thing to do, and not with the Game 2 form that you saw out of Rogue Warriors. But they drafted for late game, they drafted for team fighting, they got there, and they're able to execute on that team fight victory to get the win and to put themselves into 4th place.
Taking a well-deserved bow as well. JD, it was in their hands after taking out Suning, as you said. They've done it against Rogue Warriors here. They go ahead in points. They clinch the final spot left in both conferences to head into playoffs. And that is going to be playoffs teams decide, except for one last spot in the Western Conference, or one last position finish. And they should be pretty happy with that one.
That's BLG fighting for 2nd place, of course. And that'll be our last game of the LPL regular season. But for now, we celebrate what JD have been able to do. The fact that they bring back Loken. They play around Loken, and he looks mechanically impressive, more so than what we saw at the start of the split. And he continues to exceed expectations, as do Jingdong, being able to upset Suning Gaming and take their spot away from them.
On top of that questionable form coming up from Rogue Warriors. Game 2 looked good. Game 3 looked like they were starting well. But that's now 4 back-to-back series losses for a team that only dropped a couple of games, even before they finished undefeated in cross-conference.
This is one of the few moments where I will actually take a step back from Rogue Warriors and look at Stake as the coach. I don't know why they drafted the way that they did a couple of times there. I like the Kha'Zix, but I think you had one too many tanks and not near enough consistent damage for any kind of team fights, and you are a team fighting team.
It almost looked like there's, again, eggs in the SMLZ basket, which works for Rogue Warriors. Game 2, it worked. But it works when they can provide him with these supportive champions like the Karma or the Lulu in the mid lane, not when he has 2 tanky front lines, because we know he's mechanically strong, but if they could kill him before he gets rolling in those team fights, it's not going to matter.
And to be fair, SMLZ played out of his mind in that third game. He's not to blame whatsoever. He played the team fights as well as he possibly could, but there are 3 carries over on JD. They hit late game, and all of them are relevant. You can kill 2 of them, one of them's still going to be enough to carry out the remnants of a team fight. We saw it at Baron, we saw it at the follow-up fights that consistently happened. Doinby gets caught out of position by the Skarner constantly as well, makes it 4v5s, and they set themselves up nicely, JD. They played it slow, they got the picks they were after to snowball the game out.
You know, able to win 2-1 against Rogue Warriors, securing, crucially, the final spot in playoffs. And it couldn't be any better than securing it over your rivals of Suning Gaming.
Yes. Rogue Warriors, for what it's worth, they need to get it together before playoffs, but Jingdong playing incredibly well, playing up on the day.
And they're going to be exciting to watch as they head into playoffs. For now, though, to break down that series, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, guys. Jingdong, I cannot believe the conditions were met. They had 3 hurdles that they needed to get over. They leapt over the first one. IG tripped and stumbled at the second. They got to the third. They took to the skies, and they stuck the landing. Rogue Warriors fall, and Jingdong advance into playoffs. Holy cow, Raz!
It wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy road. Somewhere along the way, of course, it would have been easier if they were able to take down LGD.
Yeah,
so
well,
being put in a position to take down the second best team in terms of just the standings at the last day for your conference, I mean, it was clutch for them to come out and take the victory. And it wasn't easy going to Game 3, but they did it.
Yeah, and of course, we do have to follow up that with this. This is Rogue Warriors' 4th match loss in a row, going into playoffs with a quarterfinal seed. So this is not exactly the position you want to be for Rogue Warriors. I mean, we just got the chance to see Doinby's face after that series. Last time he played Jingdong, he leapt out of his chair laughing and smiling. It was a very different expression, and considering how he needs to play in a week in the playoffs, something's got to change.
Yeah, and I think what needs to change is, of course, the vision control that they have on the map, because their composition, I know that Rusty hit on, of course, the lack of scaling in the comp, the amount of tankiness that they had. They were just solely focusing on SMLZ to deal the damage. But here's the thing, the early game was really strong. You have the Scion into the Azir early in just the matchup, will be able to just bulldoze you down in the laning phase once you build Banner of Command. It happened. You have Kha'Zix for the 2v2. That works well with you as well. But there was no vision going into deep red side jungle, so they can go into the second tower, so they can actually open up the map. Because here's the thing. Ultimately, when you look at the vision score for a lot of the players on the team, they're lacking. Killua specifically has an abysmal vision score for supports in the league. So they just don't focus heavily enough as a team towards opening up the map in terms of vision. They just try and team fight it. And when you get to a point where you try and team fight a scaled up composition, you get disaster.
Especially a scaled-up Xayah Azir composition that can just do massive damage, which is what we saw out of those fights. I mean, it seemed like Rogue Warriors' composition was a rolling stone. They want to just pick up momentum and try to knock you out by just simply rolling over you, but Jingdong were able to find a crack in the stone and break it apart before it got too much speed.
It's just the disengage from Xayah and Azir. The Azir wall wasn't even used, of course. The ultimate wasn't even needed. Just came down to the fact that Xayah had her armor penetration item. Azir has gone towards his Void Staff as well. They're going to be able to deal with the triple, even I would say quadra melee champions that was being provided on the side of Rogue Warriors. So as long as they can deal the damage and of course move around the GP ulti, the slows, and the just outright walls that they had for themselves, it was so difficult to get to the backline of Jingdong, and that's ultimately what costed Rogue Warriors the game.
Yeah, even getting into the front line, the only source of damage really from Rogue Warriors was that Varus.
Yes.
And stepping forward, you could see how much of a pain it was for SMLZ. Like, I'll fire an arrow. Can I step forward and fire another? Okay, now I've got 2 stacks on my Rage Blade.
It was very easy for him to deal with the front line. Once he got past the tanks, he was like, okay, let's go towards the carries. All right, I get outranged by the Azir.
Yeah.
And all right, it's actually very difficult for me to walk past all of the feathers being placed down by Xayah. So it's a difficult task for him because ultimately he's looking towards his own tanks to walk forward, but they're starting to get shredded. And so that was just on Rogue Warriors to blow open the game really early on, and the moment they didn't do that, you saw how difficult it was to even get past the lineup of Jingdong. I think that Kazakhs did a good job, Flawless did a good job in looking for opportunities for a flank, but the moment Jingdong just stuck into lanes and used the Azir turrets to just keep them safe in the back, it was so difficult for him to work out.
That's the fight we saw in the mid lane, but this is the one that ended the game. Doinb steps forward and gets caught, giving up the mid laner of Rogue Warriors to JD. And then they know, we've got the numbers advantage. They're down a tank. They have 1 source of damage. We can end this.
Yep. You know, the gold keeps going in favor of Jingdong, and at this point they had the Elder Dragon for them as well. So it's just so difficult, and this is probably the best fight you could hope for if you're Rogue Warriors. That, and there was one Baron fight to their name as well, where SMLZ is able to walk up and dish out the damage and start chipping out the carries themselves, but the moment he becomes the priority, they burst him out way too quickly.
It was an entertaining build. Once again, we talked about the Kazakhs build in the previous game. It seemed like he was Sanic Kazakhs. He just got to go fast. He was moving so quick to assassinate people.
And that's great when he gets the bit of flat damage in the early and mid game, but you also saw how much damage he was able to chip out onto Skarner.
Yeah.
0. I mean, you just not.
Those shield, you just can't do anything with it.
Yeah, not much you can do in that instance.
Well, that being said, we do have an interview ready. Clement is going to speak with us. With Mao for us.
And I am definitely speaking to Lumao, not Dom over there. First off, congratulations for securing your playoff seeding right here. I'm going to jump at you with the first question. What was it like in the room behind the stage? This was a must-win game. It was the last game of the entire split so far. What was it like coming down to the wire, and what was the mentality going into this first match? 就绿毛，我想问你的第一个问题就是在后台的时候，这是你们必赢的一场局，而且也是本季最后一场局了。你们当时在走出台前的话，那个训练室里面是怎么样的一个心态？然后教练有没有跟你们讲什么？
我们当时是抱着就是必胜的心去的，因为我觉得他们当时那个队伍，就他们队伍最近状态不好，然后我们状态又特别好，然后教练对我们的就是心理辅导也做的挺多的，然后我们心态上。其实只出了一点问题，如果换做以前他不帮我们的话，我们会出现很大的问题。
你可以多讲一点嘛？如果是不帮你们的话，你们会出现什么样的问题？那你们教练实际上给你们的帮助是什么？
他如果不帮我们的话，就跟以前打 IG 的时候，就我自己嘛，我就感觉到有压力，然后就操作都操作不好的那种。然后他怎么帮助我们的是，就对我们说，哎，放开打，没事的，输了也没关系，我们在你们后面挺着。就是类似这种吧。
Okay, great answers there. So Lumao said that they did treat this as a must-win game for them, and they also knew that Rogue Warriors was having kind of a rough patch right there. And he did say that the coach gave them a lot of help, UDJ gave them a lot of help, and that he didn't let them slide into the slumps that they had versus IG Gaming. I then followed up a little bit and asked him, like, what actually did the coach actually say, and how did it prevent them from going in? And Liu Mao said that in the past, when he was very nervous, he couldn't even really control his own champion. That was how much pressure he felt. But UDJ was able to come in and tell him it's just like, you know, play to your best, loosen up a little, and just try to perform, and we have your back. And that's how they pulled this magic trick out of the hat. So my second question for you right now is, obviously this has been a very up and down season for you so far. You guys are a very brand new team. Looking back at the season, what do you think that you're most proud about your team? 就第二个问题，我想问一下，就是你们这一季的话，其实也是算是起起伏伏的。那本季已经到最后一个赛点了嘛？那我想问一下，回首的话，你觉得你最骄傲这支新的京东队伍的话是什么东西？是什么？
最骄傲的东西，我觉得还是就是说的简单点，然后开赛的时候，别人都不看好我们这个队伍，都觉得我们是最下层的队伍。然后我看到我就特别生气嘛，然后我就一直我们队伍也挺争气的队友，然后就慢慢来，慢慢爬，从开始的好到不好，到现在进入季后赛，我觉得真的挺好的。
Okay, so Liu Mao is most proud about the fact that they actually made it when everyone didn't see them as a strong team. They were pinned as a bottom barrel of the LPL, and that made him incredibly angry. And they just started slow and steady from the start, from being a good team and then having that turbulence and then finishing strong in the end. And that's what I'm most proud about my team, that we did make it at the very end. So my final question for you is, over on the western side of the bracket, we do have BLG and Snake still fighting for the slot. Which team would you rather face and why? 那我们现在如果看到西区的话，你们有可能对上的队伍是这个蛇队跟 BLG 这样子。那你可以大概跟我们讲一下风格上，你们比较想遇到哪一支队伍？为什么吗？
我觉得除了 IG， 我们都不在乎。
Okay, strong statements from Liu Mao. Aside from IG, we don't really care which team we face right there. Thank you for the interview so much. We're going to go into a short break and come back with RNG versus TOP.